I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to be doing the Miriam Joy Wax Technique jewelry line, and we're going to do a bunch of different videos for you on different pieces because they all kind of have little techniques. But before we get started on the piece we're working on today, we want to go over some of the tools and how we get the gourd piece ready. So that's kind of important. This that I'm working on is a 2-inch gourd round. And we get these by using our circle drill, and these just simply hook into your drill. You just set them right in there like that. Now you can position this bit so that it's not in the way, but it's harder to control. So if you're using the bit and you want to leave the drill in the middle, that's fine. And then what I do is I simply fill it in with quick wood and sand it out. Now the slower you take these, the smoother your pieces are going to be. So my suggestion is just take it nice and slow. If you have a drill press, it's easier. You just hook this into the drill press and take the drill press down nice and easy. You want thicker pieces. You don't want something that's really, really thin. It needs to be wide enough that we can put a strip of leather or whatever you want to put on the sides. There's all kinds of different ways to finish it, and we'll talk about that when we get to that part. But I do them with thicker pieces, and then I take them and I have a let's see, what is this called? A sanding tabletop sander. It's a belt sander, and I just smooth my edges down, and I've done them by hand too. It's not a big deal. You can do the sizes by hand if you want to make sure that they're nice and perfectly round. And then I take the bottom of it and I just sand it like this. Now because they're thicker, I get that nice smooth finish. You can sand the top if you have little blemishes or anything like that. And if you have a little hole or two, don't forget you can fill that in with your quick wood as well. It doesn't take that much. But other than that, these do not have to be sanded. You do not want them sealed. You want them nice and natural. You don't want anything underneath. We're not going to be working with any dyes or anything other than just our Crayola crayon for our color. We will be adding some of that. Now to make this easier for you, we do have the different sizes available on the website. This is a 2.5-inch round, and what I work most commonly with is the 2-inch. I have a 1.5, which is a nice little necklace size, or also the 1.25, and this makes great earrings. I don't want my earrings so small that I can't work with them, so we'll be getting some earring kits for you as well. All of these are available on our website as pieces and as kits, and we're going to excuse me, lost my train of thought there. We just want to make sure that we have these available so that you don't have to do the work. You can just buy them and you're ready to go. And a lot of our kits are going to have everything you need in it to do that specific one. So whatever kit you want, you just order it online and it'll have most of your products available in it. So we've talked about how our little pieces are, oh, I know where my train of thought went. I would not recommend doing a bigger piece than the 2.5. You can try it, but most of them, like I said, I like the 2-inch. The reason is there's only so much room you can control the wax while it's warm. So that's the reason I don't get into the bigger pieces of gourds, and you want to kind of watch them. You don't want them too lumpy or bumpy because remember your wax is going to melt into the lower spots. So we want to try and have it as flat as possible. We know that gourds aren't flat, but we try and do our best. Okay, we're going to be using, of course, the Miriam Joy melting pot that has the well in it, so we can put our crayons in here. This technique does take a little bit more crayon than what you're used to working with. And I'm not going to lie to you about this, but the more pots you have, the better the experience is going to be for you, one for each color. Otherwise, you're trying to jump around too much, trying to clean out a melting pot, getting to the next color. So if you have 3 melting pots, you might kind of think about doing a project that has just 3 colors. You can clean it out. It's just going to take you longer, that's all. And you just, the more you have, the more you're going to really love that. And this is addicting. I'm going to warn you up front, it is very addicting. Once you start this, your ideas are just going to go crazy and you're going to start thinking of all these things that you can do. I do use the Miriam Joy tools. When I'm applying the wax on with the larger amounts, I use my number 2 tool, which is the biggest of the tools. And then I go into the smaller tools to move things around. So know that they are going to be move around on you a little bit. So you want the smaller tips of the Miriam Joy tools. We use the stipple brushes, and I don't even try to clean these out because they're so reasonably cost, and I try to keep these all reasonable for you. I have one for each color, and this is when we're putting large amounts of color in them, and I'll be showing you different pieces where we're using this tool to make our process go a whole lot faster, and it's kind of to lay the wax kind of more evenly on there. I've also introduced the eyedroppers. Now, we carry these as well. Again, I do the same thing. I try to have one for each color and at a reasonable cost so that you don't have to worry about trying to clean them out or anything. And they have to be glass. You do not want to try and put plastic into your melting pot or your hot wax. You're going to melt it. So we want to make sure that we're using glass eyedroppers. And this again is just it's a easier way to get the wax spread out along a longer cross of area. So that's the reason that we have introduced the eyedroppers. I am also going to use the texture brush and inserts in some of the different things I make, and the ones I do that you're really going to like. They're going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you have your texture brush and insert ready for some of these as well. I'm sticking with a lot of these, a 24 box of crayons. Doing these videos or the wax technique is great because you can take out your crayons that you don't use a lot of and just throw them all together and make some wonderful fun stuff. But I'm going to stick with a 24 because that's the most economical, as we know. Don't forget your darker colors. Use your white to lighten them up, especially your blues and your purples so they don't look black, and then you get these real fun colors. Because in this 24 box, we don't really have a lighter purple. And look at the tip, because like this purple here is almost black. I'm also going to be using a lot of the metallic colors, which are a lot of fun. They're really, really just great. They have that sparkle to them, almost like there's glitter in them. And here's a silver that's warmed up just to kind of show you the kind of stuff that you're going to get and how fun they are. I'm not using as much of the glitter because when you heat them up, they kind of get a little bit, I don't know how to explain it, harder. But try them and see if you like it. If not, go back to your metallic colors. I don't recommend doing a whole bunch of metallic colors in one piece because your crayons give it the brightness that you want, and when you're using metallics you kind of lose that brightness and that color. So I do 1 or 2 metallic colors with a piece at the most and stick with my basic crayons. We have all kinds of fun things we can add into our wax as we're working. There's all kinds of glitters and items. I have been using the micro beads. And then one of my favorites is the tinsel glitter. And you have thicker glitter and finer glitter. And there's just all kinds of really neat kinds that is out there. There's also, this is like a leafing. I think they call this like a vintage leafing. But there's just all kinds of things. Think about adding to them. All kinds of scrapbook items that you can use in this, and we'll show you how to melt it into your wax once we get going. One of my favorite things are these little guys though, because when I'm doing this I find I can control it better if I can get my finger in there and I just want to put it on just a little bit and spread it across just with my fingers. And I like these little containers better, and we are going to sell these on our website with the little glitters in them, so you can get exactly what you want and just sprinkle it and get in and out of it with your finger. And that again is the Tencel glitter. So they have all kinds of neat things in them. This one I have some of the Tencel glitter in, and I have some of the micro beads in. But just anywhere where you think that you may need something, we can add a little bit of sparkle. This one has just the real fine silver in it. And then I want to show you on this one we have a little bit of the bigger pieces in it. Just a tad, just enough to set that piece off. But I really think that the glitter really makes or breaks your piece. I think it's a lot of fun. And let's get started, because this is going to be so much fun. I got so excited about getting ready to play, I forgot a couple of the key things that we're using here. So I'm going to go back and just cover a couple other little things. You might have seen these sitting on the table. These are my rubber gloves, and they're also, they call them garden gloves, but you want the ones with the rubber on them. This is kind of a tip I'm going to give you. These make holding onto your gourd so much easier. So if you have a gourd or you're working with a gourd, especially when I'm working with my drill press and I need to hold on to one, I can hold on to it nice and easy, and it doesn't slip around as much. I also use it when I'm working with my pieces to hold onto that are smaller, because they're just that much more secure, or especially when I am sanding on my sander, I can hold on to it with a better grip. So any of the gloves with the rubber work really, really well. No matter what type of gourd work you're doing, those are fun to use. I also have my table covered in a piece of paper. You can get the bigger pieces of paper at your newspaper, the leftover rolls, or at a butcher a lot of times we'll have the bigger strips of paper. Because we're moving so fast and working so fast, we'll get a lot of wax spread out, so we don't want to do have splatters all over our work area. I also have a black tray, especially right under where I have my heat gun, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Because you're going to have splatters coming off and going different areas, you want to kind of contain that bigger splatter area there. I also have a hook, kind of a shepherd's hook or a plant hanger, and this one happens to hook right onto my table. I found this one at a craft store, but also your garden supplies. And if you happen to be one of the ones that has a rotary tools that has the hanger to hang off of, that would work really, really nicely as well. And I know that there are some vendors out there that do sell those. You might check like Bonnie Gibson site or some of the others as well. I'm going to be using one of the most important tools today is our heat tool. They're also called embossing tools or heat guns. So if you have any of those three written on it, it's all good. We do now carry this style, and I really like this style because it comes in here at the middle and it's easy to hold. And when I first started doing this process, I would work with this hand and hold with this hand, and it's a little bit harder, so that's why I recommend the stand, but you can do it if you need to do that. So that is a little bit more of our tools that we're going to be using today. Oh, turn that right on. We know that it works. And now let's get playing and have some fun. We're going to be doing our pink leopard print. The leopard print is really popular in different colors. And think about other colors too, like blue and purple and yellow and orange. There's all kinds of things they're doing with it. But we're going to do the pink today. Now I'm using 3 different colors. I'm using the carnation pink, the black, and I'm mixing the carnation pink half and half with the white to make our under color there. So we're going to start out by heating our little wood piece to get that. Let's give us a clean palette here to get it all nice and warm before we apply our color onto the bottom. And I'm also going to put my pink now into my melting pot, and that's going to be the center of my spots, so that can get to melting. Alright, we've got that in there melting, and we're going to warm this guy up. We're going to start on the outside, warm it up, and the reason we're warming it up is so this just applies nice and evenly. You can do it the other way, but I think this way is a little bit smoother. So we have that all warm. And I am using my stipple brush to just come in and put my color on. And I may decide that this is a little bit too pink, that I think I need to add some more white to that. So we're going to let that guy cool, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to add some more white to my pink color. And this is just a personal opinion, however you want to do it. If your color is too thick, then or too full, just pour some of that out with a cotton ball. We're just going to put that in there. We're going to let that melt for a minute, stir that back up. To do our spots, we're going to be using our number 2 wax tool, and I'm going to be using the smaller end to apply it onto. You could also use the bigger end if you wanted the larger dots as well. So let's see if we're a little bit lighter here. And this is good because we're going to show you a second coat. So if you do this and this is showing through some and you decide that that is too thin for you and you don't like that showing through, we can apply this second coat. And so we're just going to put the second coat right over the top. Remember not to go back over it because you're just lifting that up until it's dry. It's warm. Now because we did that and our base wasn't as warm, we're going to go back and smooth it out. Okay, let that dry all the way. And if you still think that is too dark, you can also apply a little bit more white. Maybe instead of half and half, I would try a 1/4 of the carnation pink to the white, and then add pink to that if you think that is too much from there. That may be a little bit better. And I'm going to stick my wax tool in and start to warm up the end. Remember, you can't have a cold tip. The wax doesn't want to stick to it. So we're going to warm that up while our guy over here is cooling off, our gourd piece, because we don't want it so warm that it just absorbs right in. We want that a little bit cool. We don't want to make our dots too uniform either. We want them kind of random. And this could be a little bit cooler. And we're just bringing our dots here and there. We're not trying to make them uniform. We're just kind of making them different spots. And we're going to put them on. We're going to make sure that we have some on the edge. And I'm going to put another little one right there on the edge. Okay. I'm going to switch over to my zero tool now, and we're going to apply the black on the outside. I'm going to start with the smaller end. See if I like that guy. And I'm not taking it all the way around. I'm bringing it one direction, then the other direction. So it's kind of going thick to thinner. And we're leaving the end open just a tad. And this is not perfect. This is not any science method. It's just put on any way you think it should go. This is just how I interpret it. If you see it different, then you do it different. And we're going to do this guy here. And I'm also going to come in and I'm going to add, using that real little tip, just some tiny dots here and there. Now remember, when you warm up your dots, they get bigger, so we want to be careful how big they are, because the more you melt them, the bigger that they get. And we're just kind of filling in the area. Another thing you could do if you wanted to is throw a light color across the top. I might do just one, just kind of so you can see, just like a silver or a white, just to kind of break that spot up a little bit. Any of those kind of different colors as well, just so it's not kind of solid. It kind of breaks that spot up. So I just want to show you that too. So we're going to go and melt this now. Start on the outside and work your way in. Remember, the inside doesn't take as long to melt, the outside takes longer. And just kind of get it where you want it. If you want to move it around or not, don't get it too close, because the closer you get, the more it's going to move. So we've got that there. While it's still nice and warm, I'm going to apply a little bit of white sparkle to this, because this is a girly girl piece. We wouldn't be doing it in pink if it wasn't. Just to kind of give it that extra something. So we put that on. Now you've got to make sure that your wax is wet when you put your when your glitter on. It should look damp. It should look wet. Set that just a tad, and that is fine. So that is how we do our leopard prints. I heated this one up a little bit more, and you can see this one was a lot lighter pink, and I think I like the lighter pink than the darker. I would probably lighten it up quite a bit. And then also I did little earrings to match as well, so that you have a set. So don't forget that you have your earrings to do with that too. So once this guy is dry, and I always try to rush this, so I'm going to leave this alone a bit. We're going to talk about what we're going to put our finish on with, and we'll let him dry that much more. You never want to put your finish on when it is warm. It does affect the finish. We're going to be using the Mod Podge Dimensional Magic, and this is what I'm using for my jewelry. It's a nice hard finish, and we're also going to be doing several coats. I recommend doing 3 to 5 coats, because it is wax, and if you're outside wearing it, you want to make sure that it's stable. And I always tell you to test it, no matter where you are or what you're doing. Test it before you do anything with it. And we want to remove this part first off of our sides, the wax. You remove all your wax. And after seeing that silver, unless that's a little piece of silver, I'm not sure. And I've done this in the past, and if you're not happy with it, do it again. And I am not happy with this one. I'm going to do this one more time. And I like to leave these in because you can see, when I was developing these, I can't tell you how many times I took it off before I left it on. So to start over, and you can make all kinds of fun things with this. Each piece you do is going to be different. Like that. That's really cool design. Just right there. Just like that. So you never know what you're going to end up with. That's what is so great about the wax. Each piece is going to be different. I'm going to add a little bit more white to this pink even and make it that much lighter. We're going to do it one more time. I'm going to try and do it real quick for you. But I just like you to see that, you know, I don't leave my stuff. I play with it just as much. Okay, there we go. Much better color. Now, this side's a little bit thin and I want that a little bit more coated. And this needs just evened out just a tad, not much. Just right in that area. Okay. Alright, we're going to let this cool down just a tad, and then I'm going to come back again with my number 2 tool, and we're going to apply the spots. And you also, on the spots, if you wanted them big and puffy, you could even come in with your eyedropper and drop them to get them thicker. That is up to you if you would like to do that. I always rush this, and you shouldn't. And the reason we don't want to put the warm wax on top of warm wax, it just melts in together. This way we actually have 2 separate layers, and they don't blend in together. Put our dots on again here. And taking one off the edge. Okay, I like that part even better already. We're going to come in here with our black. And you can see that pink was a little bit damp still. Like we talked about, not going all the way around. And some dots. Okay, let's go warm it up again. I'm going to get my glitter ready. Good. Okay, while that is warm, I'm going to get the glitter in. And it does not take hardly any glitter at all. And now we're going to get the sides off, and then once the sides off, we will get our finish on top. And we want to make sure that it's cooled all the way down. Alright, and we're going to put our Dimensional Magic, and we're going to do a wide coat, and it's better to do less, more than less. If I said that already, I apologize. And we're going to start on our outside with the brush, and you're going to barely work this. it's best to leave it kind of you don't want to overdo it. So we're just going to brush that. When you see those brush marks start to settle, you know that you've got enough varnish on there. Or not varnish, but finish. And if you don't, if you can still see your brush marks, then you need to add more. And don't keep brushing it, and I just pulled my brush kind of sideways and let it settle. And we talked about doing the 3 to 5 coats. So we're going to let that dry, and then we're going to come back and we're going to finish our necklace. Okay, now that we've finished decorating our jewelry piece and we have removed the wax off the sides with our hobby knife, and we put 5 coats of the Mod Podge on, the Dimensional Magic, and it is dry, we're going to come in with our black acrylic paint and just paint the sides and the back all nice and neat. And if you get any of the paint up here, just wipe it off because you've already got your sealer on, so that'll just wipe off. Now make sure if you've used your Dimensional Magic, it's been 3 hours and that it's nice and dry. We don't want that wet and your fingerprints in there. And we're going to talk some more about different things that you can use other than what I am using. In this, I'm going to use the basic black suede strip. And the reason I use black in the backgrounds is it's a fade color. So the design and the piece stands out and the sides don't distract from your design or the front part. So that is a reason that I use the black. Now there's lots of other colors that you could use and decide that you would rather do instead of the black, like on the red flower. Paint the sides red and then put your red leather piece over that to bring out the red and the flower. That's fine. You have all kinds of things. This is some little silk pieces that I have found. You could put those around there. I've used some. I've turned them into a braid. You could put a braided piece around there to bring that out. It's all kinds of different stuff. I found some little tiny Hawaiian beads that I thought if you had the right piece, those would look fun. But you've got all kinds of thread and yarn and just different accents that you can use. Don't get stuck on just what I'm showing you today. I always tell you to think outside the box. We'll think outside the gourd piece here. I have some silver wire that you could use, as well as some stained glass siding that's sticky that you could put on the sides. So there's all kinds of things that you could do with it. One of my favorites for this piece was a braided suede piece around that, and how neat that makes that look. But like I said, we're going to stick with the black basic for now because it helps the pattern stand out in the background. And if you've done the beading video, there is one thing that we're going to do different, and we're going to move the suede piece towards the front so it's flush with the front of our piece. So we have painted in black. It's nice and dry. I'm going to put a tad of tacky glue on to start it. And on this one, I'm going to decide where my top of my gourd piece is going to be. And I'm going to start and finish there. And that is so I can also get my eye screw in between those two pieces. Now I'm going to set it down flush. I'm going to use an awl. And I'm going to stick that awl right in the middle of that piece on the end. And with the awl, you want it to go about 1/4 of an inch down because the sequin pins that we're going to be using are 1/2 inch. Throw a couple of those out there. And if you do it right, you should only need 2 of these. And some gourd pieces are tougher than others, and some are softer. And this guy is going to be a booger. He is nice and hard. Let's see. And I leave my finger right there So hopefully I can kind of have an idea where that hole is, and I can sink my nail into that hole without it being too hard. And I'm going to try moving him just a tad here, because he is not playing with me today. There we go. And I have tried all different ways to do this with the hammer and all kinds of things, and the awl is the easiest way. You only want to put it halfway down so your sequin can push in halfway so it holds nice and secure. You don't want to push it all the way, otherwise your sequin won't have anything to push into. Now, instead of hammering or anything, I found it was just easier to push the pin straight in, and if it bends, take your pliers and pull it out. You don't want to go any further, and you want to make sure that this pin is not going towards the front. You don't want it to go through your design. You'd rather it go down or towards the back. If it comes through anywhere, you'd rather it came through the back. We're going to try one more time. Nice and slow, just pushing that straight in. This is a hard gourd. And it's kind of nice so you know that it happens to me as well. So we're going to leave this one in here. Try one more time with my awl. Push that straight down. Don't let it go to the side. The thimble is important. It's a non-slip thimble so that you cannot slip around, and that really helps out. Okay, so we finally got that guy in there. And I like to leave that in there because if I have problems, you're going to have problems once in a while. And we don't want to have this too messy. We don't want it on top of our leather because we're not covering up our leather. Our leather is our final piece. We'll bring that all the way around. And when I lay my tacky glue down, I always have it on the side instead of straight up and down, so I don't have to shake it and get that air bubble out before I grab it. So we're just going to put this on, and we wanted it flush with the front, so I'm just kind of moving that around. And we're going to bump up right up next to this. We're going to put, you're not going over the top of it, but you're going right next to where we did the first one. And we're going to see if this guy will go in a little bit easier. Push him in nice and slow, straight up and down. This one's been a booger. And if he bends, we know we're going to pull. I'm going to grab my pliers here. And so we're going to pull this guy out. And that's why we put extra pins in your kit. And usually I do not have this hard of a time. This is just a tougher piece, just like you have soft gourds and hard gourds. It's the same thing with this. I'm going to try to put the hole in again a little bit further down. But like I said, it's a good thing to do these on these videos, because then you know when you do it, you're not thinking how easy it was. And usually it goes in much easier. I usually do not have this hard of a time at all. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim this off. You still want the two pieces kind of meeting right there. Okay. And remove any of this glue from the front. You do not want any of this showing. Kind of make sure it's on the edge. And what this does is just frames your piece that much nicer. Now, where these two pieces touched, I'm actually going to come in between those two, and I'm going to punch another hole. And actually, I'm not going to punch this one because it's thicker right behind it. But if it's not thicker, it's thinner, just put it right down the middle of your piece right there. Because when you go to turn it, your pieces are broken right there, so you're not turning them as much. So we're going to put our awl in there again. And we're going to twist on our screw eye. This is the smallest ones you can find. I think this is like a 7/16. It'll be in your kits. So now we have that on. And I drop my necklace. And we're going to put our jump ring on. And I'm going to open the jump ring up. I'm going to put it through the necklace. Decide which way your clasp goes on your necklace so that you have that the right direction. And then put your pendant part on. And then you're going to squeeze it shut. And you want no space between that. Now, it's a bigger... You don't have to worry about exactly, but you never want, when you're working with jump rings, you never want them coming off, so you want to make sure they're nice and tight. So we want those meeting. And you can also squish them on there too, so that you know that they're nice and tight and right where they meet. And then we have our necklace. Now, if you notice, the screw eye is facing this direction so that your jump ring is facing this direction. Now, if you have any glue or stuff on the back like this, go back over and paint that up and touch that up with your black acrylic paint. And you can also add part of a back on there. You can cut out the size of your circle and put a piece of material or leather on there, just so that it's a little bit smoother on your necklace. If your skin, if you happen to be wearing it above your clothing. And if you like the piece with the beading on, we also have the beading technique, and that is on the Miriam Joy website, and that just really makes all of your stuff stand out. And there is a great video on how to do that step by step. And so we're just adding all kinds of dimension to your jewelry, and it's amazing just what Crayola crayon can do and how fantastic it looks. Nobody's going to believe that these are actually crayons. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed this. Please know that you can play the video into YouTube again and again. You're not limited to one time, and that there also are kits for each one of these. Hopefully, if you don't see anything up online, email me at art@miriamjoy.com, or if you have any questions. And for any of the other projects, just visit my website at miriamjoy.com. Thank you. God bless and have fun.